Good afternoon. I'd now like to call back to order the Pasco County Board of County Commission meeting of March 8th, 2022. Please silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. We are now going to proceed to public hearings, and we'll start with ordinances P45.
Madam Chairman and members of the board, we have proof of publication of the hearing of this matter in the January 19th, 2022 issue of the Tampa Bay Times.
All right. And
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Denise Hernandez, item P45 is PDD 220233. This item comes to you with a request for continuance to the April 5th, 2022, 1:30 p.m. Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Madam Chair, what was the continuance date again?
Continuance date is April 5th, 22.
But the first reading is?
First reading is 3/22/22.
3/22. Madam Chair, I would like to actually move this a little farther out. I'm getting way too many questions from stakeholders. I had a discussion with the team staff at lunchtime too. A lot of questions, a lot of concerns by stakeholders out there. I think we need more time. I need more time myself as well to learn more about this. I don't want to get into the weeds right now, but there's a lot of areas that I wasn't even aware that were going to be included in this. There's concerns on how this is done. So I think this needs to be pushed at least another month to give time for all the stakeholders to get involved on both sides.
okay. Thoughts? All right. So do you want to amend? Who made the motion?
I made it, so let's.
I'll second.
I gotta look at a
Can we
date.
do
I gotta
2
give
months
you
out?
I gotta give you a date.
You can. It's up to
While
you.
he's looking up the date, I would just say in the future, I think you need to put the title of what it is, because I did not know that this was, until you dug into it. Nowhere in the P45 posting here does it say it has anything to do with the airport.
First 1, 2, 3.
I think it might have just been an oversight.
Madam Chair, that would move it approximately. Let me see here. First reading April 19th.
Okay.
That would be the first reading, so that would mean the vote would happen on May
You're moving it 2
3rd.
weeks.
No, I'm moving it.
That's only 2 weeks from first reading, April 5th, right? Oh, no, that's a month.
It's a month.
It's a month.
First reading.
I'm fine
Yeah,
with
first
that.
reading.
Staff good with that?
Yeah, it's fine. So as I understand it, you want to move the first reading to 4/19/22
Just give everyone
at
a little more
1:30 in
time.
Newport Richie, and the adoption to May 3rd, 22 at 1:30 in Dade City.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, that's a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
The next do I have to ask if anyone wants to speak to that since it's continued? No. Okay. All right, P46.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, we have proof of publication of the hearing of the matter at this time for the first hearing in the February 16th, 2022 edition of the Tampa Bay Times.
Commissioners, Denise Hernandez, PDD 220098. This is the first reading on this item, so there's no action. Just please accept public comment. It's scheduled for adoption on 3/22/22. This is an ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Chapter 600, Overlay and Special District Areas, Section 602.8.m.3, Villages of Pasadena Hills, impact fees, mobility fees, and development fee surcharges, and VOPH transportation development fee schedules, Exhibit 602-C, and other amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for applicability, repeal or severability, and an effective date. This is actually text revisions, chart revisions, and fee schedule revisions to 602. So this went to the Villages of Pasadena Hills the Pasadena Hills Planning and Policy Committee on 2/16/22, and it was presented to the local planning agency on 2/17/22, who found it consistent with the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan and recommended approval to the board. Again, there's no action required today. This is set for adoption on March 22nd, 22 at 1:30 in Newport Richie.
Okay. Then we'll move on to P47? No?
Public hearing item.
Public hearing.
First hearing.
Roll call.
No,
Well,
we don't vote on it,
No
but does
voting.
anyone want to speak to this item?
We have one person signed up for the online contact, Bill Oliver.
Bill Oliver is the county consultant. If you have any questions, he's here on standby to answer them for you.
And we have none signed up in the room.
Okay. Well, then
Is
we'll,
there anybody who wishes to speak to this item?
I said that. But no one came forward. So we're moving on.
I believe you need,
P47.
you need a vote on the
No,
first
no
hearing?
action.
No.
No.
Okay. Item P47, we have a proof of publication of a corrected notice on December 29th of 2021 for this date and time.
It's PDD 220022. This is the adoption hearing on this item, so we're asking that you adopt it by roll call vote. This is an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map, map 2-15 and sheet 15, from Res 1, residential 1 dwelling unit per gross acre, to Res 3, residential 3 dwelling units per gross acre on approximately 80 acres of real property located east of Handcart Road and north of Island Boulevard, amending Goal Flu 6 Pasadena Hills, figures PH 5 and PH 6, providing for additional text amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date. This was presented to the Pasadena Hills Planning and Policy Committee on 11/17 of 21, went to the local planning agency on 12/9/21, who found it consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the board, and it was transmitted on January 11th of 22. We're asking that you adopt this item by roll call vote.
All right, is there anyone signed up to speak to P47?
I believe we have the representative is the only one signed up, Joel 2.
Is, okay.
Madam Chair, Joel 2 for the applicant. The applicant will waive any presentation unless there's public comment or any questions from the board.
All right, is there anybody signed up to speak to this?
Mr.
Online?
2 is the only one
He's the
signed.
only one.
And anyone else wish to speak to this?
Move
Okay,
approval.
Second?
all in favor? Aye. A roll call,
Roll
that's
call
right.
vote.
Sorry.
District 1, Commissioner
She even
Oakley.
reminded
Aye.
us.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick. District 5, Commissioner Mariano. District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. P48.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, we have proof of publication of the hearing of this matter at this time in the November 24th, 2021 edition of the Tampa Bay Times.
It's PDD 220067. This is also the adoption hearing, so we're asking that you adopt this item by roll call vote. This is an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for text amendments to the future land use element, the glossary, and providing for additional text amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date. This is basically bringing into the comprehensive plan the legislative session 2021 solar facility items. So this went to the local planning agency on 12/9/21, who found it consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the board, and it was transmitted on 1/11 of 22.
Board members, any questions? Does anyone here wish to speak to P48?
We have no one signed up either online or in person.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Aye. Oh, yeah, darn it. I even wrote roll call.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick. District 5, Commissioner Mariano. District 5, I'm sorry,
Three.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. P49.
We have proof of publication of the hearing of this matter at this time in the Tampa Bay Times on January 23rd, 2022.
PDD 220185, this is also the adoption hearing on this item. This is an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a small-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map, map 2-15 and sheet 01, changing from Res 6, residential 6 dwelling units per gross acre, and Res 9, residential 9 dwelling units per gross acre, to IL, industrial light, on approximately 33 acres of real property located to the south of Coit Road, west of Bower Road, east of the CSX Railroad, and north of Cummer Road, and providing for additional text amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for repealer, severability, and an effective date. This comes to you with, this went to the local planning Planning Agency on February 3rd, 22, who found it consistent with the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan and recommended approval to the Board of County Commissioners.
Great.
Madam Chairman, we have no one signed up at this time, either online or in person.
All right, and
Does anyone here want to speak?
I don't know if the applicant needs to speak, but,
This is a staff-initiated
staff-initiated.
comprehensive plan amendment.
all right, so let's just call for the roll call.
Just ask the audience.
Is anybody in there?
Audience.
He said nobody.
He said no one
No.
has signed up.
You got to ask.
You gotta
Does
ask.
anyone want to speak to this one?
Move approval.
Sorry, I was
Second.
working on the toll thing with Secretary Gwynn. Okay,
Got a
move.
motion and a second.
Okay, all in favor by roll call vote.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick. District 5, Commissioner Mariano. District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. P50.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, we have proof of publication of the hearing of this matter at this time in the Tampa Bay Times edition of January 19th, 2022.
On this item, this is the adoption on this item, PDD 220232. We're asking that you adopt this item by roll call vote. An ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners establishing a temporary moratorium 180 days on the establishment or opening of any new or used car, truck, or van sales businesses within the unincorporated area of Pasco County, providing for authority, legislative findings of fact, moratorium area, temporary moratorium imposed, duration of temporary moratorium, and severability. This went to the local planning agency on February 3rd, 22. Who found it consistent with a comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the board, and it came to the board for first reading on February 22nd, 2022. I do want to mention that we have had with staff several meetings with stakeholders, and we do have the big stakeholder kickoff meeting on April 13th of 2022 to work together and write an ordinance on this matter.
And I would add that, was it yesterday?
Yesterday at 9 in the morning.
We had
yes.
another meeting with our stakeholders. We had Larry Morgan, David Moss, Scott Fink, and the gentleman from Furman. Was there anyone else on that call? I think I
There
covered
was
them all.
someone, but it kind of was just like listening in.
Yeah, I think it was, might have been with Morgan Otto. And Elizabeth and Denise, and we answered all their questions, and they understand now. I think some of them understood, but some of them didn't, so they understand where we are and where we're going, and they're looking forward to helping us. And that they're actually helping us find a few more stakeholders to join us on April 13th, so. Okay, this is, does anyone want to speak to this item?
We have no one signed up.
All right, anyone here?
Move approval.
Second discussion.
Discussion?
I'm glad you had the meeting with those folks. The two out of the three I've talked with, and they weren't comfortable before, so I'm glad you're getting comfortable. Based upon that, is right.
Okay, yeah. So it's a roll call vote.
Commissioner 1, I'm District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
I agree. Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. Okay, we are now at the public hearings. So we are at
Madam Chairman, would you like me to read the procedure?
I would.
There are two resounding agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. If staff or planning commission has recommended approval and there's no opposition, the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or planning commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual, or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or planning commission recommendation, or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be, may at this time request the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearings. The law in Florida is that mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria found within the board's land development code. Mr. Clerk, would you like to swear them in?
Any person that intends to give testimony, if you would please rise on these matters and raise your right hand. Any others that intend to give testimony on these upcoming matters? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give in this matter is the truth, so help you God? Please remember when you come forward to the podium to speak, for the record, indicate whether you've been sworn, state your name and address, and please spell your last name for the record. Thank you.
But it just needs to be a little clearer. Okay, P51.
P51, we have proof of publication on this matter in the Tampa Bay Times, November 24th of 2021.
P51 is P220088. This item is a request to continue the item to the April 5th, 2022 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Okay.
Move
Do
to
I,
approve continuance.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Did I need to take public comment?
No, that was
Okay.
on your agenda as a
Because
continuance.
I thought we had 2 people signed up for this.
We have actually several online signed up, but
But these are continued. They
Yeah.
won't speak when it comes back up.
Oh, Madam Chair, if it's advertised as a continuance, you don't have to
It
take
was
public
on your
comment.
agenda as a continuance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't have to take public, you don't take public
Okay.
comment.
I thought before we had said you could speak once, you can't speak both
It's
times.
not advertised.
But that's how it used to be. Only for regular
Only
agenda?
for regular agenda.
Right.
Okay. All right, and then that, so whoever's online, that's the same for P52. P52?
P52, we have proof of publication of the hearing of this matter on the November 24th edition of the Tampa Bay Times.
P52 is PDD 227422. Likewise, this item is a request to continue the item to the April 5th, 2022 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 in Dade City.
Move to continue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
P53.
We have proof of publication on this item and the Tampa Bay Times edition of November the 24th, 2021.
P53 is PDD 220087. This is a request to continue this item to a date uncertain.
Motion
Move to continue.
Second.
Mr. Steinsnyder, can you continue to, or just it's going to have to be re-advertised, correct?
It will have to be re-advertised, but we have traditionally handled them as a continuance to a date uncertain so that the application is not withdrawn.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, did we have a motion?
Yep, motion and a second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. P54.
We have proof of publication of this matter at this time in the January 19th, 2022 edition of the Tampa Bay Times.
PDD 227594, this is a zoning amendment, Eddie L. and Elizabeth A. Hill and Lennon, Inc., 54 Morrisbridge Road. It's for a change in zoning from AR Agricultural Residential District to a C2 General Commercial District. The item comes to you with a recommendation of approval from the Planning and Development Department and the Planning Commission.
Okay. Does the applicant want to speak to us about this?
This is a consent item.
Yeah.
Oh, it does say consent. Okay, how
Just
many
ask
more?
if anybody
Sorry,
wants
they're not highlighted here. Okay, let's go on. If, does anyone want to speak to this item? If not, we'll keep it on consent. Is there anyone online who wishes to speak to this item?
We don't have anyone online that has previously signed up, and only the representative is signed up at this time.
Okay, let's move on to the next consent item, P55.
We have proof of publication in the February 2nd, 2022 edition of the Tampa Bay Times.
This is PDD 220053. This is the adoption, I'm sorry, not the adoption, the transmittal hearing for this item. So we're asking that you authorize transmittal to the DEO and other reviewing agencies. It's a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment, CPAL 2115, Gateway Hub, large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use element appendix to the Gateway Hub Future Land Use Classification and the Future Land Use Maps 2-9 and Sub-Area Map 2-9 Gateway Hub Subcategory, Sub-Area Map 2-9 Gateway Hub Subcategories. This went to the local planning agency on 2/17 of '22, who found it consistent with the comprehensive plan and recommended approval to the board, and is scheduled for adoption on May 3rd of 2022 at 1:30 in Dade City.
All right,
This is a transmittal.
Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to this item?
The only person signed up, I believe, is the representative of the owner.
Okay, anyone online then? Nope. All right, we'll keep it on consent, and that is the end of the consent agenda.
Move approval of consent.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, P56.
We have proof of publication of this matter in the Tampa Bay Times, February 6th, 2022.
Good afternoon, Joanne Ravita, Real Property and Planning. The Real Property team has received a petition to vacate a portion of a platted right-of-way filed by Locust Branch LLC. The petitioner has requested the vacation to allow for an additional building lot in Phase 2 of the development. There were no objections to this petition, and the team recommends approval.
This is in Commission District 2.
Public comment.
We have no one signed up for this matter at this time.
Anybody wish to speak to this item that's in the audience?
And I move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Rolling along, P57.
We have proof of publication of this matter in the Tampa Bay Times, February 2nd of 2022.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Is the Calder of Public Works. This is PVAS project number 3459. Thank you. Timberset Court, there's one street in this project. The estimated project cost is $53,272. Maximum cost per ERU is $4,439.34, and the discounted amount is $10,068.08. Maximum cost per ERU after discount is $3,579.50. There were 13 possible votes. 7 responded, which is 54%, and all 7 were in favor of the project. The amortization over a 10-year period at 3.25% interest rate.
Nice.
Next is a location map, and next is an example of what the road is like. Staff is recommending approve.
Okay, is there anyone here who wishes to speak about this PVAS? Anyone online that wishes to speak about the PVAS?
Not aware of anyone online.
Wow, move approval.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good job. P58.
Originally, this matter was set, or we have publication for the November 9th meeting, was continued to January 11th, which was continued to today.
All right. Who's going to speak to us about P58?
Madam Chairman, this was one that you had conducted a full and complete public hearing. Board closed public hearing and was in deliberations when, because of some issues, you decided to continue it and give the applicant and staff, the team members, a opportunity to discuss the matter. My understanding is that there were revisions to the stipulations, which I'm assuming somebody from planning is going to go over.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting for.
Good afternoon, Tammy Snyder, Planning and Development Department. Here we have Plazuski and PDD 227564. Here is your location map. We have Tyndall Road directly abutting it to the north. And proposed is a rezoning request from an AR Agricultural Residential Zoning District and an AR5 Agricultural Zoning District, Agricultural Residential Zoning District, to an MPUD to allow the potential development of a maximum of 200 single-family detached and attached dwelling units and associated infrastructure on approximately 40 acres. And here is their master plan. And here is the future land use. We have Res 3 and Res 1 to the west. And the site itself is Village Mixed Use Type 2B. And here we have various village concept plans. The original VOPH is, up there. And you can see kind of the circular format. Evans F1 came in and pretty much kept the same format. Boger Ranch came in, pretty much kept the same format. And then when Plazuski came in, the Vision Road, the north-south Vision Road had been adjusted, and so they shifted around some of the entitlements to fall in line with the roadway. Presently, the subject site contains a residence and some outbuildings and pasture land, and the project lies within Village F of the Villages of Pasadena Hills. And due to recent BCC directives concerning all future MPUDs, conditions were added to address a mix of lot sizes, front yard trees, architectural details, and the maximum number of and maximum building size and placement of the attached products. The PHPPC heard the item at the September 29th, 2021 public hearing and voted to recommend approval with the inclusion of a condition requiring the removal of the proposed emergency-only access to Peachtree Lane once a secondary access is constructed. The applicant also added a new condition after the hearing to address the enforcement of potential on-street parking and obstruction of roadways. And the BCC heard the item at the January 11th, 2022 public hearing and voted to continue it to the March 8th, 2022 hearing, as there were outstanding questions regarding the north-south Vision roadway, which lies off-site to the east of and abutting the subject property, among a few other details to be worked out. And this is just depicting again the Vision Road alignment. The big picture there is the Plazuski MPUD. You can see that the north-south Vision Road has shifted, the south part of it has shifted to the east. And then after additional conversations regarding the location of the Vision Road, the applicant offered to set aside 35 feet of right-of-way along much of the eastern boundary of their site in the event it may be utilized for 1/2 of the required right-of-way in the future. Should the 35 feet of preserved right-of-way on the Plazuski property be utilized as such and shift the alignment of the Elam Road extension to the west, it may potentially cause intersection issues at Tyndall Road to the north. Although the PDD does not object to the additional 35 feet provided, the long-term recommendation is to keep the alignment as shown in the comprehensive plan Vision roadmap. And the proposed request is consistent with the Pasco County LDC and the applicable provisions of the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan. And with that, the PDD recommends approval with conditions.
Okay. Board members, any questions?
Madam Chair, I just have one question. I guess prior to the applicant coming up. Your last slide. One more. Where it stated the PDD, Plan and Development Department. Okay, there you go, thank you. Although the Plan and Development Department does not object to the additional 35 being provided, the long-term recommendation is to keep the alignment shown in the comprehensive plan Vision roadmap. I'm just curious, how did the plan, yeah, here it comes, came up with that. I know one of the things that, I listened to and I worked with the applicant on this as well, to come to some sort of compromise so that the burden wouldn't be entirely on either property owner. I thought that was sufficient, and the applicant agreed as well, but you're making a different recommendation. I find that odd.
Good afternoon. Nick Charles, Pitos, Planning and Development Department. The statement is that we don't object to the 35 feet. Mm-hmm. If the road needs to move over, it can move over. It has the ability to move over, but there's a plan, and the comprehensive plan is asking for the alignment for Elam Road to be as shown. And so if we can avoid moving the road over, it's not necessary to move it over, we could maintain the alignment. Our primary concern is the intersection alignment specifically. So at the point where the road comes to the intersection, there may be the opportunity to keep that alignment according to the comprehensive plan and shift the rest of the road further south as may be needed. But also the other thing to keep in mind is that the neighboring properties, that in the event that they become MPUDs at some point in the future with their own developments, may desire to take Elam Road another way.
Well, my assumption is, I could be wrong, that if the property owner to that'd be the east, right? I'm looking here, that'd be to the east.
side.
If they do develop it and they request that that right-of-way be, or the road alignment, I should say, be on that property, I'm sure their current applicant would be more than fine with that, because
Right.
they're not,
And that's
they're
why we don't
gaining,
object.
they're gaining that property back, so.
That's why we don't object. We felt that them providing the additional buffer enables a lot more flexibility for both properties to coexist with the road.
Okay, I'm just curious why that statement was made in there. I don't see the need for it, but you made it, so, okay.
Commissioner. Madam Chair?
Yeah.
I've met with the applicant as well as the residents as well, but in the conversation we had, it was, I think, a good recommendation to say, if the next guy's coming in, which I don't expect to happen, as you say, put the right-of-way over there, but the next guy come in, he may say, we want to keep it straight because we think it's going to be safer for the road, is the one thing that can go.
Right, they have the ability to do it, right.
Yeah, so for that reason, I'm comfortable with the language that I see there, because I've been looking at that issue. I do have one thing for the applicant, I'd like to ask him a question. When I look at the roadway with the right-of-way that's there, and if we put this condition in, somewhere there's going to be a trail on one side, a sidewalk on the other side, correct?
I believe that is the cross-section, the VOPH roadway, I'm sorry, Joel to an Associates for the applicant. I believe you're right, Commissioner, in VOPH, every specific roadway has a specific cross-section that's required to be constructed, including alternative vehicle network and trails.
Okay. It could be a long time before the people to the east come forward.
Yeah.
The people that own the property now say they're not interested. When the errors come into play somewhere down the road, they may come in, and that's when other things will get looked at. So, and if you could give me the answer, and I don't expect you to give me the answer, you probably have to talk with your team, but, one of the concerns we have with the small lots, the 40-foot lots, the 50-foot lots, the kids have nowhere to play. Nothing, it's tough. If we're going to look at high density on the outside part of this whole thing, one of the things that I think would be good is on that right-of-way part, if we shift over there and we put in, we say, we're going to go put a golf cart path on that side, somewhere in there, and we fit that in there, and we tie that into the neighborhood, so until the other developments come in, now you get a sidewalk and connect for everybody in there to go back and forth, all on their property, until it changes. Is that something that could be looked at and thought about now? And if we don't think we do it now, is that something we can look at with staff later on?
Yeah, I think that's something that would have to be looked at down the road for the very reasons you've discussed. Right now, when our properties develop, no one really knows exactly where Elam Road will be constructed. Will they take advantage of our 35 feet? Will they not? Will the intersection align exactly and then veer? So I think the problem is you don't know what to construct until the party actually builds the roadway cross-section. The other comment I have is we're accommodating that because we're providing the full 35 feet no matter what. And even if the county never requests the right-of-way because the road isn't moved, we're still obligated on these conditions to permanently maintain that 35 feet as permanent open space maintained by our HOA. We'll be providing our own internal connections up to Tyndall, and that's where our residents will get on the AV network and the trail system. So I don't know if are you asking that we actually pre-build part of that? I'm not sure I understand exactly what you're asking.
And again, this idea just came up right before the meeting,
Okay.
so otherwise I would have brought it up when we talked.
No problem.
But what again, to think, depending how this goes, if it does come out, I'll say that if the other party, the other parties alongside, that keep the roadway just the way it is, we don't need the right-of-way. At that point, if this had a trail going alongside it, internal to the development.
We would be
stay
happy.
internal to, it would be a benefit to everybody from the get-go and now, and if in case it takes a long time for it to develop, it's something that you're gonna wanna have in there anyway. Just your people could use it at start.
Correct.
It could be built in there, and then if it does change over, now there's a simple shift over where now it's gonna be part of the public right away. I don't know how we could write that in so quickly,
Well,
but
I think since we are obligated to reserve this 35-foot right-of-way, the county at any point could request that to be donated for trail, roadway, sidewalk, anything the county wanted. So we are already obligated to provide that for any county purpose. So my thought would be, depending on how that plays out beside us, if the county, even if the road didn't shift onto us, if the county still wanted to use our 35 feet for the trail system, certainly the county has the right to request that right away, and the Blazewskis or their developer have to donate it. So we are making land available for however this plays out, and frankly, whatever purpose the county wants to put that right away to.
Right, and like I say, if the road, for the other situation where, let's say, it stays the way it was previously done, where it's all on the other side, this would be an amenity for your people inside, and I'm comfortable to set that up and set that in. And I'd feel better about the density, knowing that everybody inside that area will now have a trail golf cart that they can actually ride the bikes and safely and go around.
Well, we have no problem adding to that condition that where it says we have to reserve the right-of-way, that the county is free to use that right-of-way for roadway, trail, sidewalk, whatever purpose the county deems appropriate.
But
in other words, it wouldn't have to be used for roadway.
Right, and like I said, for the start, until the other things develop on the other side, what I'd like to do is to improve the development inside. If it never comes out, at least the people in there will have a trail to use. And I don't want it to be in the county's burden to go build it, maintain it, or whatever, until we know it's going to be ours. If it ever becomes ours, then we take it over.
So you want us to build a trail when there may not even be a roadway constructed there next to us? Is that what you're asking?
Correct, and the reason for it, and here's why, just again, I don't know if it can be done, I don't know if it's even acceptably done, I just had the discussion. Because if the roadway stays out to the side, then this is just gonna benefit everybody inside there anyway. If the roadway ever does get advantaged of using that right of way, then we'll have the street in there as well. I don't want us to take it over now, if the trail gets built, because I don't want the liability for it, and I want it just to be for you guys anyway. So go ahead, Pat, you can help it out.
That's a lot of words.
It is.
Well, we do have to construct our own neighborhood park for the kids. I mean, that's part of our requirement, and we are constructing that adjacent to the Rural Enclave buffer. So we will be providing our own recreational amenity areas, and we will be providing our own internal connections back up to Tyndall Road. I mean, have you talked to the client about whether they want to build a trail?
I have, I might be able to help.
Behind the houses? Okay.
Good afternoon. Pat Gasaway with Height Design, representing the applicant. I'm going to attempt to use your magic wand here that almost never works. Oh. Low-tech stuff. I believe what you might be looking for in this cross-section is the sidewalk that is, all right, I'm getting you new batteries. Along that strip, from this sidewalk that will be internal to the subdivision, to be able to go within that 35-foot buffer that may become right-of-way. So I think that's what...
But not just sidewalk, trail, so a little bit wider.
Understood.
Okay.
That would be a little odd in that cross-section.
It would be.
Because it's got already, you know, the vehicular, the cart lanes in the road bed. So what the applicant would be willing to do is build the future sidewalk to connect this sidewalk to the sidewalk that is along the south side of Tyndall in order to provide that loop. And there wouldn't be a large multi-purpose trail in that 70-foot cross-section. So pre-building the 5-foot sidewalk for the county in the location where a future shifted road right-of-way would be acceptable to the applicant.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask a question then.
Why not?
If you put, so in that 35 feet of dedication, so if you could put that map back up, if what I'm looking at on this,
Oops. Oh, you're doing.
take that button away from him.
She did it too.
It wasn't his fault.
So, in looking at that map, it looked like there was a sidewalk on the east side. Is that what that kind of darker gray line is going down? Behind the houses and then?
It doesn't show it, but behind those houses is a 20-foot required buffer, right? And then the 35-foot future right-of-way, which will initially be maintained by the HOA if the road isn't shifted. So behind the lot, there will be a required buffer, and then that 35 feet is where we would be suggesting that left-hand sidewalk be constructed to be able to connect that loop around there.
Why, so we're looking at the typical roadway section of VOPH, and I guess we're going to ask, why is there no trail? Why is there only a 5-foot sidewalk, which is, a person on a bike and a person walking, two people on a bike will crash into each other on a 5-foot sidewalk.
I think that goes back to the original VOPH plan, which is what the community planned. I mean,
to not be able to use a bike or a golf cart anywhere?
I think these were designed.
Actually, the golf cart lanes are in the road.
Oh.
So if you would put that typical section back. So if you'll see, the two vehicular lanes are in the center, right, on either side of the center line of the road. And on the outsides of the vehicular lane are the 6-foot golf cart lanes, and then the curbs. Then you've got 10-foot tree planting zones outside that, and then 5-foot sidewalks outside that.
And what's the speed of those roads?
35 or less. So those are anticipated to be golf cart friendly, vehicular and alternative vehicle roadways. That's why the sidewalks flank both sides.
Oh, I feel bad for the community, they're not getting a trail.
But those are the adopted sections, not only in VOPH, but also in Connected City.
Commissioner Oakley?
I'd like to say one thing too. After we continued the other day, because you never know how the plan looks until you put it on the ground, see where it matches up. So the plan worked. Well, this project ended up next to Norwood Acres, and I think it affected 2 lots, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
They set back 50 feet and then put the park in that area. They redesigned their development to put the park where it's right behind those Norwood Acre properties. So
well, yeah,
that's a good buffering they put in there where they touched those homes that have been there a long time. So.
Thank you.
Didn't realize they're not getting any trails, they're just getting sidewalks. But can you go back to the Plazuski? I'm just trying to understand your layout, and I see the difference. Can you please go back to she's working on it? Yeah. Can you zoom in, or is that as close as you can get? So, okay, so I see now where you have this shaded area, that's the new donation? Is that right?
Right.
Next to the Elam Road?
Right, so
Okay,
there's,
and then
in the blow-up, you can see you've got lots, and then you've got the required buffer, and then you've got the 35 feet, and then you've got the 70 feet of right-of-way per the roadway that's adopted in the ordinance.
Okay, so going past that pond, as you work down, that darker line is not a sidewalk for the project? A trail or whatever, internal trail?
So in
Because I see a line. You guys see it in the green?
the heavy line is actually the property line.
Up in the corner. To the very
Yeah, but I'm
top.
looking, what is that right there? That's what I want to know. If you look at the pond, at the bottom right corner, it's blue for the pond, then it's green, then it's dark, then it's green, and then it's brown. So I'm asking, is that straight line going down a trail or a sidewalk or anything? Or is that You don't see it?
That's the piece of the property that the applicant's given
So,
us.
so I think the green that's east of the blue, right,
It's kind of green,
is-
gray, kind of, yeah.
is a buffer.
Oh, it's a,
Right.
okay, so it's not anything that's constructed.
Right. It's
That's the buffer?
The LDC requires a
Okay.
perimeter buffer there.
Okay, so Jack, I don't know how they would build a trail or a sidewalk or anything coming down there when it would stop down there by that pond because they don't own the property where the road would continue on. So
We-
the
we-
trail would only go
We're
two-thirds.
suggesting that it go from here, where we will have a sidewalk to connect to.
I can't tell where you're pointing.
Oh.
That's where, we need a better
See,
system.
I know, we do. In fact,
I could see it, you can't see it?
yeah, the
Try that again-
stub
try to
out
get
is
that.
where I'm talking, it would be the southern end of the sidewalk, moving and traveling northward to Tyndall.
If I could help, Mr.
Yeah.
Starkey?
That'd be
So
awesome.
if you take on the top part with Tyndall, as you come down, you get the pond, then you get that brown, dark brown loop.
Yeah.
And then there's a roadway going across there.
Yeah?
They're talking about bringing it right across there.
Oh, just to the first road?
Yes, now, if I could.
Okay, yeah, that,
And if I could, I think that's good.
Yeah, I do- I
And
think
if I
that's
just
good
had to
too.
accept that, I could go along with that. But if there's any way to even take it down to the next one down and bring it around, makes it just a little bit longer. But one section's good, two would be great.
I don't think that would help anything.
The first section is what the applicant is.
Yeah, and I agree with that
Consider
person.
more, because it might be good for the development anyway.
Madam Chair?
Yeah?
Are you going to present, are you going to talk about, Joel, are you going to talk about the buffers or anything like that? Okay. Well, listen, I'm just going to speak up for a second. Because there were certain concerns I heard from the residents last time I was here. And when I know when I met with the applicant, I'm sure the applicant met with everybody, I don't know, but I met with the applicant. This is what they brought forward and said, we listened to you, we know these are the issues a lot of the citizens were talking about. So there was that buffer, and there was not going to allow an outlet, it was only going to be an emergency exit. I said that was a nice, in my opinion, good compromise. We're not always going to, each side's not going to get everything they always want typically. Nice compromise. I'm good now.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everybody, okay, so,
gonna take
do we want a
public
motion? Oh,
Take
public
public
comment?
Or maybe you don't have to.
Are you gonna reopen public comment? You
We have it already?
before.
We don't have to?
you closed public comment and directed staff to work on these issues which they have brought back.
Okay.
You have the ability to open public comment if you wish to, but
We did what?
you did a full and complete public
Okay.
comment.
I didn't. okay.
Madam Chair?
I'm not sure.
Commissioner Mariani.
And I'm happy with the conversation I had, the suggestions about the right-of-way, that little extra thing right in there for that piece. So it's come a lot better than it was, talking to staff
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. They're going to need density, and density is going to come in this area.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's out further than it was anticipated, further than I like to see it at this point, but it's got to go to make the whole thing fun all the way through. And we just made an adjustment earlier to two agenda items before it, where they had to do some changes to the accountants to make sure everything was going to fall in line. So density's coming, it's going to come in these corridors. This is changing a little bit, but we may see some other changes and some other ones too.
Let me ask you one more question. I don't know who was, I don't know if it's to Joel or to you. One of the other issues was changing the matrix a little bit to, and maybe we fixed that earlier, to make sure that the costs of the roads are shared in a more equitable way. That was one of the concerns I had. I think we took
Yeah.
care of that.
Right, Joel Toogan for the applicant, and either David Goldstein or I can address that, but just to confirm what I said at the prior public hearing, we are processing for the VOPH stakeholders, we are processing a financial plan update for you that would make all of these intermediate roadways, which is what Elam Road is, impact fee creditable by adding that cost to the overall budget that's spread by everyone. And what that does is that removes the inordinate burden. For example, this property to the east, should it be developed and need to build the road, then that road would become creditable, whereas now it's not. But that is in review with staff. We've gotten the document in and it's under review. So that is going to happen this year, subject to your approval, of course. That will have to come to
I
you.
think we would approve that.
Hopefully. Thank you.
So I just wanted everyone to remember that and the public to understand that. Yes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Madam Chairman, one procedural matter before you. So I've heard several commissioners say they met with the applicant and the residents since the last public hearing. There's no ex parte forms in the record except for Commissioner Oakley.
Yeah, we have one.
So if I can just, for purposes of the record, if I can just get each commissioner to indicate who they met with, residents, developer,
Well, you've
for
got
part,
mine.
for part of, for purposes of the record, and for ex parte communication.
Pretty sure I met with the
Who was in
developer.
my meeting it was online.
So,
Well, the applicant will state for the record, we had an individual meeting with each as requested at the last public hearing. Our meetings were all entirely with the full staff. We met with Mr. Pitos, Mr. Goldstein, and Ms. Snyder. So ours were joint meetings with the staff and each individual commissioner. We had 0 individual meetings and 0 contact other than the staff meetings. That's from the applicant standpoint. But
And I
that was
didn't
with
meet with
all
any
5.
residents.
Yeah, I've had Goldstein, Mr. Goldstein was in mine, and I'm not sure who else was. It was probably a lot of people.
I think Joel's, if you all
Keith, Terry.
agree with what Joel just said, I think
Yeah.
that covers the
Yeah.
disclosures for the applicant.
Yeah.
But I think that Commissioner Mariano mentioned he also had meetings with the residents too. So those, if there's any meetings with residents, those forms we don't have those.
Yeah, nobody
So you would have to verbally disclose those now.
I didn't meet with any residents.
On staff and applicant.
I think I met with a resident months ago.
Yeah,
that-
before
that's
the
fine.
last one.
That's fine.
Yeah.
They're in the record.
So I
Okay.
had, so I had the staff meeting, which.
We don't have to have a paper on that.
Then I met with 2 friends of the applicant, kind of an informal meeting, but we did talk about it.
And I met with the applicant and staff.
And I'm reminding my staff to make sure all ex partes get turned in.
Thank you.
Yes.
You may proceed.
Motion.
Where are we? Did any?
You had a motion
so-
and a second.
So, yeah, we not taking public comment. Did you have, so we're under discussion, Commissioner Mariano?
Just for discussion, as staff writes up the condition for that sidewalk to go alongside it, I don't care if they make it private to themselves until that roadway opens up. So it can just be internal until later on.
So,
I have a question.
Okay, but we're not taking comment.
Madam Chairman, so
Yep.
with Commissioner Mariano, so you want the condition amended? Because we haven't, you got a motion and a second on the floor, and we haven't really talked about
Oh, adding the sidewalk?
amending the condition.
Who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Can you amend your motion to include the sidewalk?
Is the applicant good with
They've
that?
agreed to it. Down to the first, nope, sorry.
They're good with it? Yes, I'll add that to my motion.
Okay.
So-
And you'll second that
So
amended
you want to
motion?
add to condition
discussion.
20, where it talks about the buffer and the open space, that there'll be a sidewalk from,
Yes, sir. I think in that 35-foot right-of-way reservation area, we would agree to construct a sidewalk from Tyndall Road down to our first subdivision road connection, if that's acceptable.
Madam Chair.
I would suggest that in 21,
That'd be
that
fine.
language would
That's
be-
the right-of-way reservation section. Yes, sir, thank
Can we
you.
do that, yours under discussion, or do you need it before the motion? We're amending the motion.
I have a quick question.
What's the parliamentary?
Do you have a question on the motion, or do you have a question?
On the amendment to the
I
motion?
have a comment. Are you meeting discussion?
It should be under discussion.
Okay. So you have amended your motion to
Amended
include the
my motion.
sidewalk? And
You
you have
second.
seconded? Okay, under discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
The comment would be, if that's supposed to be a buffer, and are we building this sidewalk before or at the same time as the road? And I thought the purpose of the buffer was to buffer the land between the landowner to the right east and have it buffered to the west.
So I think there's a buffer, and then there'll be a sidewalk down to the first road. And because we don't know when the road is going to get
But
built.
now there's no buffer.
No, there's a buffer and a sidewalk. There is a,
But they're coming to the east of the sidewalk, so they're coming east of the buffer.
Well, we'll have the applicants.
I'll try to answer that, and Pat will correct me, but we have, starting at the back of our lots, we first have that required 20-foot buffer that the Land Development Code requires anyway. Then we have this additional 35-foot right-of-way reservation. My understanding is we would build this sidewalk close to the eastern edge of that 35-foot area, I assume. Or the western edge. So I stand corrected. We would put the sidewalk outside of our 20-foot buffer, but on the western edge of that 35-foot right-of-way, in case the road does get shifted over, you don't destroy the sidewalk.
Yeah.
If the road
Okay.
doesn't
There's still a
get
buffer.
built, then
Okay.
there's just a
Thanks.
sidewalk, and then we still will have to maintain that area between the sidewalk and
Yeah.
the 35 feet.
I think that's very generous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? You can't, we took public comment last time, so we don't have public comment this time, sorry. We closed public comment at the last. That's what my attorney said, we closed public comment. Okay, I think we're done. What was that? All right, we're done.
Okay.
So wanted to let you know that I was in touch with Secretary Gwynn, and I'll read you the message that I received from Secretary Gwynn. Let's see, it was a voice message, so let me read it to you. He said, "Hi, it's David Gwynn. I got your text. I talked to Nicola over the turnpike," and this is reading a voice message, so I don't know if that name is right. "And she promised me that you will have an agreement to review within the next day. She got the final draft of it up, and they're ready to send it over to you, so hopefully your folks will get it today or at the latest tomorrow. So we should be good to go."
Good. Nice. Good. There you go. Good. Anything else from Carball? Oh, Mike, you good back there?
Have we, is Ralph here? Ralph, any good news for us yet? Really?
The letter's ready for you to sign.
The what?
The letter
Okay, I'll sign it.
is ready for you to sign.
Okay.
I don't know if we need that. We can wait until tomorrow.
What? Oh. All right, we're adjourned. Okay.